Hey everyone, hope everybody's doing well, keeping safe. Um, so I get a lot of people that complain about wrist discomfort as we're exercising. And although it is true as we get a little older, our flexibility and certainly our strength seems to diminish. But I do get those same complaints from people of all ages and all fitness levels. So I'm preparing a little video here that's going to give us some wrist exercises to do to try to strengthen and improve the flexibility and so on. I'm going to present a variety of exercises. There's no need to do them all. Some of them will feel a little repetitious. This is one of those situations where a little bit more often during the day, like doing 2-3 minutes of this 3 or 4 times a day or a couple of times a day, is a whole lot better than sitting here for 15 minutes. That's probably what's going to take this video to run, um, than to do that. So take this as an instructional video, not an exercise video, and let's get those wrists nice and flexible and strong. And one last thing before we start. As with most exercises, there is a tendency, particularly as we're going to focus on the wrist, but all exercises, we're going to start rolling our shoulders forward. And if you see me doing that, shout out, like you're not going to be able to, but I'm just saying. So every once in a while, roll those shoulders back and down, put those shoulder blades back into place, and do a couple of shoulder rolls behind. Let's go. So start with that. So the first exercise, actually, if you've been working out with me, you'll find this familiar. We're going to put our hands straight out in the air, straight out, open those fingers nice and wide, and stretch. Stretch as much as you can. And we're going to open and close, and I tend to do this for about 10 times. And now make a fist. Let's go up and down. And you could do it a little bit more, a little less. It's up to you. And let's make circles in one direction. And if you can't get both hands to work in the same direction, just keep working at it until you do, and then go into the other direction. And now you can do whatever you want, act as a conductor. The next exercise I tend to present near the end of my workouts as a stretch. So let's put our palm, right palm facing the sky, and our arm is straight. It's not hyperextended, but it's straight. And grab those fingertips and just pull them down. And you're going to want to hold this for about 10 or 15 seconds. And hold. And now let's release, and let's do the same with the other hand. Palm facing the sky, arm is relatively straight. And bring those fingertips down. And hold. Now the next exercise should follow this exercise, and it's sort of the opposite of that. What I'd like you to do is roll your fist, make a fist, and then pull it towards you just like that, and hold. Again, keeping your arm relatively straight. Just squeeze that towards you, towards your heart, and hold. And I'm not going to hold it for 10 or 15 seconds, otherwise this video is going to get pretty long, and I want it to be short so that you can zip through it. But that's how long you would want to do it. And let's do the same with the other hand. Just roll it shut and then grab it and just kind of pull it towards you. Let's give it a rest. And again, look at my shoulders. They're just starting to come down again. So let's just take a moment and roll those shoulders back. Squeeze those shoulder blades together. Next exercise, simply put your arms straight out, palms facing the floor, and then flip them up and flip them down. And again, you'd want to run this for about 15 to 20 seconds. back and forth. And shake it off. Next exercise, kind of fun to do, improves coordination, finger dexterity as well. Put your palms out to the side here, and let's run through our fingers touching the thumb, each one. Back and forth, just like that. Try to put both hands doing it at the same time. Touch, touch, touch. This is something you could be doing when you're stopped at a light. Most of these you can do when you're stopped at a light. Let's just do a couple more. I actually do these because I play a little guitar, and this really helps. So shake that off. Again, let's roll the shoulders back. Last exercise here in sitting position. Let's put our hands into prayer pose. Keep your arms nice and straight and push in. Squeeze nice and tight. Keep those shoulders back. Hold for about 5 seconds and release. Let's do it again. And release. One more time. And release. Perfect. Now, for those of you that can get onto the floor and get on all fours into table pose, here's a nifty little exercise for you that'll help you with your yoga poses, plank, push-ups, etc. I'm going to show to you how to do it on the wall as well, and then we're going to get up and do a bunch of things up against the wall. And I'd like you to get into table pose. There we go. You can come in and put some pressure on those wrists. Don't put too much though. You can really control it by where you're positioning your butt. You know, if I'm bringing my butt forward, there's a lot of pressure on there. And if I just bring it back just a little bit, it eases the pressure. And once it's at a comfortable pressure for you, just start doing some circles in one direction and then in the other direction. And as you get stronger, you'll be able to come deeper into this exercise and really put some pressure onto those wrists without it causing too much damage, without it causing any damage, not too much damage. But in the beginning, just pull it back a bit and just come around. So those are the exercises. And again, not to do too many of these at one time. You don't want to just sit there and do wrist exercises. You want to do 2 or 3 minutes of it at a time. Maybe a couple of times a day would be ideal. 3 or 4 times a week, more than enough. What I want to show you now is some modifications to certain exercises that we do or you can do if your wrists are hurting you a wee bit. So the first exercise that a lot of people enjoy doing because it's great for the core, it's great for the obliques, is the plank. So we know what the plank looks like. A high plank is to have your hands down here, nice and flat, and you extend out your body and create like a wooden plank. Your body is nice and flat. Please don't roll your shoulders forward as you're doing this. The modification is just to drop the knees, and it allows you to stay in this pose a little longer, but really doesn't release a whole lot of pressure onto of your wrists. So the modification here is just to get rid of the wrists completely and come down into an elbow plank. So here what I'd like you to notice though is that my shoulder and my elbows are stacked. And there's absolutely no pressure at all on my wrist, as you can see, and I'm still getting the entire benefit of the plank. And again, the modification is to come down onto your knees and just hold. Now you can actually do the same move up against the wall. So let me adjust my camera. Let me bring that up. So again, if you've worked out with me, you know that I teach how to do wall push-ups. So you stand a fair distance, arms across the chest line, and you come in for a nice push-up. Well, you could do a plank against the wall as well. So let's do that together. I'm going to come out a little further though for the plank. Bring my hands out forward, come in, and just lean in. Again, I really have to get some extension here, some distance here from the wall in order to feel my core activating, but it does activate. It takes a little bit longer, but it does activate. Brace your core, squeeze it together. Think about your core as a belt around your waist, and try to squeeze the entire belt tight, tight, tight. And again, if this move bothers you, you can again use the elbows here, come in, lock yourself nice and comfortably with your elbows, and come out. Back is nice and straight. Try not to roll your shoulders. And you're doing a plank. Now you could add some difficulty to a plank by, doing a side plank, for instance. Coming out, fair distance, and hold. And get those obliques engaged, both sides. And you could do the same on both sides. Finally, there's a move that we do together, downward dog. So downward dog that we all know from yoga is, of course, coming down on our hands, palms are out, and our butt's way out in the air, and our head is in between our arms, just like that, and we hold. And that could be difficult for some people. And again, the modification here, let's just get rid of the wrist. Let's not use the wrist and get into what's referred to as dolphin pose. So we put our hands into prayer pose, lock them down, bring up our butt, and hold. And again, my shoulders and elbows are stacked, and I'm getting the full stretch, abdominal engagement. It's just a great exercise. And hold, and release. And again, if you need a further modification to that, you can do it up against the wall. And it does not engage your wrists very much at all. And what you would do is bring your wrists up against the wall, come out, and just bring it down, just like that. There's very little pressure on my wrist right now. And I'm still getting that full stretch in my back chain of muscles, and my core is engaged. And you would hold. Now, all these moves, the plank, lying flat, or on the wall, can also be done in grades. So for example, you could take your chair and you can do a plank against your chair. So it's a little bit more difficult than what we did up against the wall, but not as difficult as what we did here down on the floor. Again, removing the wrists completely, get on your elbows and hold. Make sure your chair is not on a slippery surface or has wheels. And again, for downward dog, either on the low side or on the high side of the chair, approach the chair, come back, hang on to it, no pressure on the wrists whatsoever, and come down for a nice deep stretch. Engage your core by breathing in and coming up. And that, my friends, is it. A nice short video. Keep your wrists nice and healthy. Again, 2-3 minutes, a couple of times a day, 3 times a week, more than enough, and you'll be able to rock and roll with anything that I throw at you. If you have any questions, you know how to get a hold of me. All the best.